Welcome to the Danforth Plant Science Center in Creve Coeur, where they are growing, and not just the plants. They're opening a 79,000 square foot state-of-the-art research facility. And tonight, we're taking you for a behind-the-scenes first look. We'll show you how this new facility is allowing scientists to do years worth of research in just a matter of months. We'll also show you how their work is having an impact on the St. Louis region and the globe. So stay tuned. Stay Tuned brings together local experts, journalists, civic leaders, and regular people to have tough conversations for a stronger St. Louis. Add your voice to our conversation, and you're at the table as we stay on top of current events and go deeper, bringing more light and less heat to the issues that matter. From the 9 network of public media in Grand Center, this is Stay Tuned. 2001 marked the completion of the first phase of the Donald Danforth Plant Science Center here in West St. Louis County. But in the last 15 years, there have been many changes to the technology and science studied at the center. In 2009, there was the addition of Bridge Park. It incubates small plant and life science companies and clean tech companies, helping them to grow to commercial success. And now the new wing of the Danforth Center, named for the man who first had the vision for this hub of innovation, where there is a concentration of plant and life science PhDs like nowhere else in the world. But what exactly goes on here at the Danforth Plant Science Center, and why is it important to St. Louis and even the world? Let's find out. Katie Jamboretz, STL Partnership. Thank you for being here. Help me, one non-scientist to another.
Sure.
It's a very exciting place. But tell me what it means to the region in terms of economics. I know that's what you deal in a lot.
Sure, our goal is to bring as many jobs here as possible, to create as many economic opportunities for the St. Louis region. And the Danforth Center is just phenomenal in the talent they tend to attract. Not only the people that get hired to work here and who want to come here and win federal grants for their research and their brilliant ideas, but we're having really big success recruiting international companies who just simply want to be in the vicinity. We've had several companies from Israel, from South America, from around Europe want to move here and relocate their companies or put a North American headquarters here to be near these extraordinarily smart and talented people.
Because they're not churning out an iPhone or a Google map, but the things that maybe people have are tangible to people. But there are things going on here that are very much on the cutting edge. Is that accurate?
It is, and it is not hard to explain because it's helping feed the world. We live in a world where the population's exploding. It takes more and more to feed the world, and we don't have that much farmable land. So figuring out how to use our resources and get the most out of each one of them and feed the world in the next 20, 30, 50 years is a huge challenge, but you see it succeeding here every day. It's really, really interesting work.
Dr. Danforth said he couldn't have imagined that they would be this far along in his initial vision in this short amount of time. I'm curious, what do you see this sector, this area of the St. Louis region and the work that's going on here, where do you see it in the next 20 years or so?
There's no doubt, if you talk to my bosses, County Executive Stanger, my boss Sheila Sweeney, our CEO at the St. Louis Economic Development Partnership, they believe that agricultural technologies are absolute future. This is our strongest economic driver at the moment. We see it attracting companies from around the country and the world. This is something that is unique to St. Louis. So we have a great biosciences, medical device industry here, a tech community, but there are a lot of other regions that have that. We are the undisputed agricultural leader around the world, and that's something nobody else can claim. It's our unique specialty, and we're really working to tell the world about that.
Do you have to tell St. Louis that? I'm not sure if everyone knows that or believes that.
I'm not sure that many people know what exists here at the Danforth Center. We are investing in this area. We won a prestigious federal grant to build a plant science innovation district, which is being mapped out right now. So that this is not only a research center, that it's a place where you can live and work and have dinner and have meetings. So I hope to tell more people about what's going on here, because the more they hear, the more they want to be around it.
So the physical space here in Creve Coeur could be changing.
It's going to be changing. We have some urban planners out here designing what could be for pathways and walkable districts and live, work, play types of districts. Innovation communities are truly the forefront of economic development right now.
So more of a dense environment where people would, we hear it all the time, the millennials want to, the young talent, they want to live where they can walk to their amenities.
No doubt about it. The same type of plan was done in Cortex, down near the Central West End. There was an urban planner who came in, we hired that same urban planner to do a suburban innovation district. So yes, it's going to be a place where you don't have to drive. You can walk, you can have dinner, you can have your coffee, you can have meetings, you can go to work and meet other people who are of the same mindset, who are innovative, who are smart and talented and doing interesting things.
And we're already seeing people, as you said, not just from around the region or the country, but international companies that are already solid companies wanting to be in St. Louis.
Oh, they are. We've had so many international companies relocate here this year alone. Our Helix Center sits right next to the Danforth Center. They allow us to share their greenhouses, so we happen to have one of the only agricultural-focused accelerators in the United States, and so we see this as being a real draw.
Katie Jamboretz, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm glad you're out here. This is an exciting thing, and we really need to tell the story of what's happening here because it's our future.
Creating a collaborative environment was central to the design of the new wing. We spoke with the president of the Danforth Plant Science Center and the architects about that importance, as well as scientists in the building who are working in the new environment.
The space was designed in a completely open configuration. What that means is we have lots of different scientific groups in the same space. So in this one big space here, we have several teams who are tackling different problems. We wanted people to collide and interact all day long. We didn't want people to be sequestered in their own offices or in their own rooms. We wanted them interacting because those collisions, those frequent interactions, are where ideas are shared on the spot in real time, where solutions are created in real time from unexpected sources. Most of the science that we do today is on computers, with robots, with automation. Of course, there's still plants, but the technology and the big data that we're generating to ask and answer some of the big questions in plant science, it's really a high-tech endeavor.
One of the critical things here at Danforth was we were designing a building for up to 10 new research groups who we didn't know who they were going to be. But based on the fact that they're coming in studying plant sciences, so I look at that sort of information from my past clients and work with the users to determine what the type of spaces are that they need.
The design of the new space is very open. It's really designed to promote collaborations among scientists. So our group and Todd Mockler's group just moved in here and we're already having a lot more collaborations than we would have in a normal setting.
In the last 15 years, the design of lab space has changed, and it's become more open and flexible like you're seeing today. I think that there's not a lot of examples of this, but they're starting to emerge. I think maybe the underpinning philosophical idea beyond just the functional flexibility of a lab is just creating connectivity. And so one of the things we've done with the design is to try to really imbue connectivity in multiple levels in the building. So not just being connected as an outsider looking into a lab, but also being connected within the lab, being connected between labs, breaking down the silos. So we think that the building will allow a healthy scientific culture to emerge where people know each other, they know what they're doing, they know what's happening in the labs, and hopefully because of that, new ideas emerge. We think that the building can't cause it to happen, but can enable it to happen. So we see the building as an enabler of better science.
Penny Pennington with Edward Jones, but you're also on the board here at the Danforth Center. So marry those two viewpoints together for me and help me kind of understand the business of what goes on here, or perhaps what it means to our business community.
Well, so some might look at the center full of scientists and say, what can this possibly have to do with business? Well, it's got a number of things to do with business. One, if you feed more people in this world, there are more productive people who can be entrepreneurs and take care of their family. And we're talking about worldwide problems that the Danforth Center helps solve. They also are working on environmental sustainability, and lack of water, lack of sustainability in our environment, that's bad for business too. So the Danforth is really working on some of the world's biggest problems and bringing together some of the best science that then can turn into for-profit organizations. And that's what Bridge Park is out back, where they take basic bench science and then determine how we can put that to work for companies that can get into the lifeblood of the economies of our nation and other nations in the world.
Like you said, these are big global issues, also kind of long-term solutions, or people are looking at problems, trying to head them off before they get any worse. We so often want immediate returns and immediate results. Is there a long view that you have to take when you're talking about the work that's done here?
You know, I know there is. I was here last night for the installation of two new distinguished scientists, and one of them was describing the work that he's been doing with the cassava plant, and he's been doing that work for over a decade. So it is work that you can imagine these scientists have to have a vision that's very long-term about what they're trying to accomplish, and that they're seeing incremental successes and frankly incremental failures that help send them in another direction or off in another route. So all of those things are long-term in nature, but as they describe it, they see the progress of their work over time and are inspired by these big problems they're trying to solve.
Do you think the business community values what is going on here?
I think the business community does value it. When we sit down and think about it beyond the next quarter or the next year or the next decade. And I think, frankly, that the business community can learn a lot from scientists like this and from vision like this, because our economy needs to be sustainable. As a company, we're a private partnership. We desire to be sustainable. We need to be thinking about things 5 and 10 years and 15 years ahead. And sometimes business can fall into the trap of looking just a quarter ahead or maybe just a year ahead. So I think we've got a lot to learn actually from the role models that the Danforth sets for us and that these scientists set for us.
What excites you about being involved with the Danforth Center?
It is a audacious vision that the Danforth has. Create sustainability in the environment and feed people throughout the world. That's audacious. So dreaming big is what Dr. Danforth set this place up to be. And that it's here in St. Louis, it's a gift. He says it's a gift to the world, but it's right here in St. Louis. So the scientists that are here, their families who are part of this community, it's a jewel as for the world and for St. Louis.
Yeah, as big as those goals are for the world, it sounds like it's enriching our region.
Oh, it absolutely.
Beyond the science that's being done here.
You're right. So these scientists who have moved to St. Louis with their families from all over the world, they bring with them creativity and innovation, and they're part of our community, and the ripple effect of their smarts and their creativity, what their families are bringing here, it's great for our community.
Penny Pennington, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Pleasure as well. Thank you. Saving time and ensuring accurate test results are of the utmost priority for scientists around the center. We took a look at one high-tech robot that was specifically designed for the space with technician Darren O'Brien, who works with the robot every day.
This system is customized. The integrator, manufacturer put the whole system together per what we needed. And some of the components of it had just been created. Not all of these things had necessarily been automated before, so they put together whatever it was that we specifically needed for the job. And so that kind of system requires a lot more development, a lot more work to get it to do exactly what you want it to do.
Is this delicate work? Because I think everybody's kind of familiar with this arm robot system you might see on a manufacturing line.
Right.
But in the lab, is this new to see this kind of work here?
I would say so. And you're exactly right. The robot arm is something, they make those for painting cars. right? So that's something you would see in Detroit. But yeah, this is not a typical kind of thing. This is a custom system. Components of it are kind of something typical, but as a whole, the entire system, no, it's a one of a kind.
So what does it do for you that you couldn't do before here at the Danforth Center?
Well, once again, it is handling liquid. It's doing jobs that would be tedious for a number of technicians to do. One of the things that is the beauty of it is it can run unattended. The idea is 24/7. So you load it up and you let it run. And so you don't have to have people around the clock, doing whatever. A part of what it does is incubates yeast. So some of the time it's just sitting incubating. But say at the end, say at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's ready to go. Well, it's just going to go. You program it to go, it's going to go. You don't have to have people here.
I
all the
swear
time.
I see some. It's almost kind of delicate in the way it moves. I feel like
yeah.
you can see it being careful almost.
You have to be super precise because something imprecise, a placement is wrong somewhere, the next place it's going to take and put it, you're going to compound your problem, and those things will build. Eventually, you're going to crash into something.
I can see when it sets something down, it slows down, and then it kind of lets go, and then gradually pulls its hand away.
It's really precise, and since it just moved into the space, we had to spend a lot of time reteaching every position where it sets something down or picks something up. We have to reteach those, and it's to the half or a tenth of a millimeter.
Are we in one of the more state-of-the-art labs in the plant sciences world?
Definitely here. There's microscopy labs here. The big phenotyper downstairs is pretty cool. But within this building and this kind of world, yeah, it's pretty high tech.
Well, this is the man whose vision is the reason we have the Donald Danforth Plant Science Center. This is Dr. William Danforth, the founding chairman of the board of trustees of the Donald Danforth Plant Science Center, named for your father.
That's right. Yeah.
We're here today because we have a whole new wing named for you. Before we start talking about that, though, tell us a little bit about your vision that you had for the Danforth Plant Science Center.
Well, I've been interested in plant science for a long time. It goes back to the 1970s when we had a new head of biology, who I had known while he was working at the medical school. And we decided that plants were something we ought to do, because it was obvious that plants were very important. A lot of St. Louis companies depended on plants for their products and livelihoods. And we had seen the enormous gains in my field, medicine, coming out of science. And I was sure that the same kind of gains would come from science into agriculture.
What's the goal? What are the short-term, long-term goals of the Danforth Center?
Well, they're the same. To keep learning more and more about plants and how we can improve the production per acre, and not only in the United States but in Asia and Africa too. That's the goal, so that we can help solve the human nutrition problem and do it in a way that's environmentally sustainable. I mean, that's a long-term goal. That'll last us for 50 years anyway.
Are we playing to our strengths by the work you're doing here? We're not Silicon Valley. We're not San Francisco or New York or Chicago. Or do we have something here that no other part of the country has?
Oh yes, we're not just fumbling along without figuring those things out. We built this because we thought it fit our region. We thought if we did this right, given the strengths we have, including Washington University, Missouri Botanical Garden, University of Missouri, University of Columbia, Monsanto. We have more PhDs in plant science than probably any other place in the world. And I just think that this is our strength. If you don't build on your strengths, you're not going to succeed.
Well, congratulations on all that's been accomplished here and on the new wing that we're going to see more of today.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Sure.
Pleasure talking to you. Another new addition to the Danforth Plant Science Center is a phenotyping facility that makes observing changes in plants easier and more accurate. We talked with one of the Danforth Center's newest principal investigators.
So this is the Bellwether Phenotyping Facility. It's technically part of the new expansion, but it was built in 2013, so it was probably the first part of the expansion. And it's a very special facility. It can house 1,140 plants, so they grow in a very controlled environment. That means we can manipulate that environment, so we can say high light, very, very hot. We can also impose very controlled drought. Every pot on the system has an RFID chip, and that means that the pot, we're collecting metadata on every single plant. So we can lift the pot up and take a measurement of weight, and we can water it to give it water to a very exact amount.
Sounds like you're able to control a lot of variables in a science that has a lot of variables.
Exactly. So in some ways, this is much more reduced than if we were growing the plants outside. Where we have no control over the environment. So this is a way of adding variables, but also adding that element of control that you need to do control, to actually make impact down the line. So testing one variable at a time is a very powerful way of testing hypotheses. One really hard thing about plant science traditionally is that you have to destroy the plants when you want to measure them. If you wanted to know how much mass there is on that plant, you'd have to cut it and then weigh it. With this system, instead of destroying the plants, we can take images of those plants and then model the weight. So we don't have to destroy those plants, so we can measure them every single day and look at them through their growth cycle. So we get more repetitive measurement, and that way we get higher accuracy.
It sounds like a little bit of what we heard upstairs, and that is, it sounds like you're speeding up the science that you're doing here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can imagine watering 1,140 plants, but it would take a lot of time. It would take a lot more time than we have people for. So this system is a way of speeding up the science, because now we don't have to do that. The technology is doing that for us. And instead we can focus on doing the analysis downstream, which is really the important part of this. So less focused on the collection and more focused on getting the information out that's important for making discovery and impact.
Bill Carson, thank you for being here.
How are you? Good to meet you.
So U.S. Bank Community Development Corporation, but you also you play a key role here with the Danforth Center. Tell me about your role here.
That's true. I'm a member of the Danforth Plant Science Center Leadership Council, which is a group of about 45 or so individuals from the St. Louis metropolitan area that act, if you will, as evangelists for the mission of the center. We help with fundraising, with publicity around important things that are happening at the center. We bring our friends and spread the word about the good work that's going on here at the center.
So tell me more about that, because I think we think of all of their work as being in the laboratory. You're saying it has an impact outside of these walls?
It definitely has an impact outside of these walls. The work that is done here at the Donald Danforth Plant Science Center has implications not only for research and in the laboratory, but it has great implications for the sustainability of our planet in terms of biofuels, in terms of food for humans, not only in the United States, but globally, and in terms of climate change and the reversal of climate change and other areas of scientific advance and research.
And the fact that we're here tonight and they are expanding, it has to be a sign, I guess, would you say, that they've had some success?
Yeah, some great success over a period of time. I was just reviewing the timeline of when the Danforth Center was first started, when the original building opened, and I don't think anybody, including Dr. Danforth himself, anticipated the level of success and the timeline that the success would happen. So I'm thrilled to have been part of the building committee for the center's expansion and to see the result of this new laboratory wing addition tonight.
Can you point to why it's happened so fast? Is it no one else is doing it, or they're doing it better here? What is happening here?
I think it's happened so quickly for a lot of reasons. In part because it's happening in a region that has real core competency in biotechnology and bioscience research, with the many companies and research universities that are here in the St. Louis metropolitan area and the broader area. I also think that the need for it, the demand, is much greater than it was even 10 years ago. That those, Dr. Danforth, et cetera, that put together the plan for this plant science research were really visionary and could really see ahead about where the St. Louis metropolitan region could really lead in this area of plant bioscience research.
Regionally as well as globally for the work it's doing, or the work that's being done here.
We certainly hope so.
Bill Carson, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you. So they've doubled their size and expanded their capacity to find solutions to problems in the plant sciences for today and tomorrow. So it will be exciting to see even the near future for the Donald Danforth Plant Science Center. Until next time, we hope you'll stay tuned.